It was a quiet, peaceful morning in Greenwich. The sun shone softly through the wide kitchen windows as Katherine Morrison stood by the stove, cooking breakfast just like she always did on Sundays. The table was neatly set, French toast drizzled with warm maple syrup, a bowl of fresh organic yogurt with berries, and a pot of hot, freshly brewed coffee. All the ingredients were hand-picked from Whole Foods the day before. This was her little tradition. For 10 years, this was how every Sunday began. "David, your coffee is ready," she called gently. Her husband, David, came downstairs wearing a cozy cashmere sweater. He looked every bit the part of a successful man. As marketing director at Harrison Global, he was always busy, but Sundays were supposed to be their time together. He walked into the kitchen, smiled, and kissed her cheek. "Thanks, Kat," he said, taking his usual seat at the table. Outside, the quiet streets of Greenwich were still wrapped in a thin morning mist. Today wasn't just any Sunday, it was family dinner day. Her sister April and their parents would come over later after the church service at First Presbyterian. It was a weekly tradition that had lasted for years. Katherine always cooked everything from scratch, from appetizers to dessert, and everyone loved her food. April had become quite the influencer. She had over 500,000 followers on Instagram, where she posted photos of her fancy life in a stylish Manhattan apartment. She always wore the newest Gucci outfits, showed off her Hermes bags, and sparkled with Cartier jewelry. Her life looked perfect online. Their parents, George and Mary Parker, were well respected in Greenwich. They were active in the church, ran local charity events, and spent weekends at the country club. Their home was a grand old New England mansion with a beautiful garden full of roses that Mary cared for herself. Children from the neighborhood often came by for her famous homemade cookies during the holidays. Katherine, too, was admired. She was a top consultant, earning over $300,000 a year as a senior partner at a major accounting firm. She volunteered at church, helped with Sunday school, and never missed a family event. People often said she had the perfect life, successful, kind, and dependable. On social media, Katherine's family looked like a dream. Her feed was full of beautiful photos, trips to Paris, wine tasting in Tuscany, skiing in the Alps, and cozy family dinners. Everyone admired the connection between the Morrison and Parker families. "Tonight, I'm making pork roast with persillade," she told David. "It's April's favorite. I even picked out a good bottle of wine yesterday." David smiled. "Your cooking's always the best." After breakfast, he went to his study. Katherine watched him leave the room, then turned back to start dinner preparations. But lately, little things had started to change. It began in the spring. David started coming home later than usual. He often said it was because of a new project in the Asia-Pacific region. At night, she'd see him in his study, focused on emails or messages. The blue light from his laptop lit up his face, which looked tense and tired. "Are you okay?" she had asked once. "It's just the time zone difference," he replied, not looking up. He no longer told her to get some rest too, something he used to say every night. More changes followed. David showed up with a brand new Patek Philippe watch, claiming it was a gift from a client. But Katherine knew her husband. He had never cared about expensive watches. That kind of luxury didn't suit him. It seemed like something meant for someone else. His wardrobe changed too. Suddenly, he had suits from Tom Ford, Saint Laurent, and Dior. His usual Brooks Brothers look was gone. He started working out more, drinking protein shakes, and skipping his golf weekends. "I'm just focusing on my health," he told her. But something didn't feel right. It was as if he was trying to impress someone else. Even his cologne had changed, and once, she noticed a faint smear of foundation on his collar after he came home from a meeting. Meanwhile, April was acting strangely too. She began canceling family dinners more often. "There's a brand event," or "I have a meeting with my influencer group," she would text. But Katherine noticed that April didn't post anything new on those days. Her once active Instagram feed was slowing down. Instead of glamorous parties, she posted more photos of herself at her parents' house, and even those looked oddly staged. "Mom and Dad aren't feeling great. I want to spend more time with them," April had said one day, avoiding Katherine's eyes. But whenever Katherine visited, their parents seemed completely fine. If anything, they were livelier than usual. Yet her sister's credit card bills kept showing purchases from luxury brands like Hermes and Cartier. Katherine began to wonder if their parents were helping April maintain her lifestyle. April wasn't showing up at church anymore either. She missed Sunday services and charity events, and their parents kept making excuses for her, but their tone sounded too forced. Then came the turning point. "I need to go to Hawaii for a new project," David said one day. "It'll be a 2-week trip." He bought a new suitcase, a fancy Louis Vuitton one, even though he usually packed light. Katherine also spotted a loud aloha shirt tucked into the bag, something more suited for a vacation than business. "Don't worry, I'll be back soon," he said with an oddly polite voice. It felt rehearsed. Katherine noticed a strange lightness in his step as he left. That same day, April sent her a message. "I'm busy with a new business opportunity. Mom and Dad are helping too." Katherine read the message again and again. A sinking feeling settled in her chest. She did something she rarely did. She checked all of April's social media accounts. And that's when she found it, a private backup account with only a few followers. There, she saw the photos that confirmed her worst fears. Pictures of April, David, her parents, all smiling at a luxury resort in Hawaii. There were selfies at the Moana Surfrider, photos of fancy dinners, breakfasts by the sea. April was clinging to David like they were a couple. Katherine's hands shook as she opened her airline mileage app. There it was, a record of 4 first-class tickets, booked using points she had collected. She saw the reservation details, hotel confirmation emails, all paid for from her account. They had used her money to fund their betrayal. Katherine closed the laptop slowly. The sky outside had turned orange. Evening was approaching. She stood up quietly and walked to her bedroom closet. She pulled out a suitcase and began to pack. Just the basics, one good suit, her ID, and all the evidence she had gathered. Her face was calm now, no more fear, no more confusion, only quiet strength. She opened the airline app and booked her own flight, one that would land just as the others were returning. Her heart was steady, her voice barely a whisper. "I'll be the one to welcome you home." The truth unfolds. Katherine sat quietly in her office, staring at her sister April's social media page. The numbers were clear, April's followers were dropping fast, and brand contracts were slipping away. One by one, luxury brands were backing out. The glamorous world her sister had built online was crumbling, and it was happening faster than anyone expected. "I'm worried about our parents too," Katherine finally said to Sterling, her lawyer and trusted advisor. Her voice was soft, but full of meaning. Sterling nodded. The results of their investigation were even worse than she feared. The Parker family's beautiful Greenwich home, the one filled with roses and holiday memories, was drowning in debt. Several liens had been placed on the property. The country club fees hadn't been paid in 3 months. Even their regular church donations had stopped completely. "Proper revenge needs more than truth," Sterling said. "It needs allies." Katherine agreed. Their first stop was Harrison Global. Katherine had set up a private meeting with the CEO, Thomas Hamilton. "I understand what's going on," the CEO said, his face stern. "David Morrison's behavior is a serious violation. It puts the entire company at risk." Next was the Human Resources Director, Janet Smith. She reviewed the evidence with a stone-cold expression. "His promotion is frozen immediately," she confirmed. "We're convening a disciplinary committee now." Katherine's network moved swiftly. Quiet messages were sent to important clients across Asia-Pacific. These were people who trusted Katherine as a financial expert and valued her honesty. At the same time, April's remaining business contacts were also alerted, but discreetly. They too had begun to question April's fading influence. A representative from Chanel shook their head when they spoke to Sterling. "Her reputation is already collapsing," they said. "We've been waiting for a reason to end things cleanly." The creative director at a major advertising agency agreed. "She's not marketable anymore. The industry's already moved on." But it wasn't just the business world that was waking up. Word spread through the church community in whispers and sighs. Pastor Jonathan, who had once proudly introduced the Parker family at events, now spoke in a heavy voice. "We cannot stand by silently. What they've done goes against everything we believe in." Even the country club, long a place of proud tradition and community, was preparing a formal recommendation: withdraw the Parker membership. Sterling helped Katherine prepare for every step. The media, too, would need to be involved, but in a careful, controlled way. "We want this to be a message," Sterling advised, "not a scandal circus." Katherine nodded. "There has to be consequences, public ones." They gathered the evidence, photos, videos, messages, financial records, and selected only what would clearly show betrayal without damaging innocent parties. These would be shown to local journalists known for reporting on society news. Then came the final part of Katherine's plan, the airport. The confrontation would happen the moment her husband, her sister, and her parents returned from Hawaii. Everything was set in motion, airport security briefed, arrival times tracked, cameras positioned, lawyers ready, documents printed. It was a quiet operation of perfect precision. 3 days before their return, Sterling asked her one last time. "Madam, are you sure this is the way?" Katherine looked out the window at the glowing Manhattan skyline. Her voice was calm. "Yes, this is the only way betrayal like this should end." The airport showdown. The big day arrived. Katherine stood tall in the airport arrival lobby, dressed in a flawless white Alexander McQueen suit. Her makeup was perfect. In her hands, she held a bouquet of deep red roses, just like the ones she held on her wedding day 10 years ago. People had taken their places like pieces on a chessboard. To her left were the executives from Harrison Global. CEO Hamilton stood with arms crossed. Sales Director Walker stood next to him, quietly chatting with 3 VIP clients from the Asia-Pacific region. HR Director Janet Smith held a folder containing the dismissal papers. To her right were April's former business contacts. The Chanel representative stood stiffly, arms folded. Representatives from Gucci and Hermes held signed contract termination documents. The ad agency's creative director scrolled through Instagram, already reviewing potential models for the next campaign. Behind them, members of First Presbyterian Church stood solemnly. Pastor Jonathan looked heartbroken. Church elders stood in silence, hands folded in prayer. And from the country club, former friends of the Parker family looked on with visible discomfort. Their faces were full of quiet judgment and regret. Katherine checked the large arrival monitor. Everything was on schedule. HA-382 will be arriving shortly. The announcement echoed through the lobby. She inhaled deeply and lifted her chin. 15 minutes later, the glass doors slid open. April's voice echoed through the air, cheerful and loud. "That was the best vacation ever." Mary Parker followed, carrying shopping bags from Chanel and Dior. "We should go again next month." George Parker, holding his golf bag, chuckled, "Maybe somewhere even more luxurious next time." And then David appeared, Katherine's husband, with a gleaming new watch on his wrist and a smile on his face. They didn't notice the crowd at first. Then they did. Their smiles vanished. Katherine stepped forward. "Welcome home," she said quietly, offering the bouquet. David turned pale. April clutched her handbag to her chest. Her parents froze, looking confused and afraid. Katherine slowly turned her gaze to the giant monitor above them. "Let's begin with a timeline," she said. The screen flickered to life. Footage played from a Christmas party the previous year, David and April slipping away into the shadows together. December 24th, Katherine's voice echoed, cool and emotionless, "While I was working late to finish year-end reports." Next, a video from a hotel camera showed the two checking in separately. Another clip showed them dining at a candlelit restaurant. April's eyes widened with horror. Then came documents, evidence of her spiraling debt, failing contracts, and desperate messages to old sponsors. Katherine's voice cut through the silence. "You used him, because your career was falling apart." Then she turned to David. New evidence filled the screen: falsified business expenses, fake travel receipts, misused company funds. Midlife crisis? Or did you just want to feel powerful again? David staggered backward, leaning against the wall. Finally, Katherine turned to her parents. "You supported them, paid for their trips, hid it all from me. Why?" No one answered. Then the final wave began. CEO Hamilton stepped forward. "David Morrison, you are officially dismissed." The clients from Asia Pacific added, "All our deals with your firm are cancelled." Janet from HR handed him the papers. "You're terminated, no severance, no benefits." Then April's world fell apart. The brand representatives turned to her. "You're finished, your image is beyond repair." Pastor Jonathan looked at George and Mary. "You are no longer members of our church council." The country club members spoke next. "You've been asked to resign." It was unanimous. Even the charity committee sent a message through Sterling: "You are no longer welcome to host events." The four of them stood there, broken. David collapsed to his knees. April cried. Trembling, her parents stood in silence, defeated. Cameras flashed around them. The local media captured every moment, every expression. By tomorrow, it would be front-page news. Katherine let the bouquet fall to the floor. The red roses scattered like drops of blood. She walked away without a word. Behind her lay a ruined family, shattered reputations, and fading echoes of lies. And ahead of her, a future finally free.